We got 3 days until the first NFL Eagles preseason game, and we are a month away from Dallas, Thursday Night Football. This is Victory Mondays. Let's talk Eagles.
From the city of brotherly love! All day, baby. You know that.
Let's hunt.
If we don't come together right now on this hollow ground. Where are you going? I'm going to pick a fight.
Get the stuff there! Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is that why you're here?
Let the games begin.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die!
Money is nice, championships are better.
Welcome, everybody, back for another episode of Victory Mondays. We are riding solo tonight. All good. We are talking Eagles training camp, Eagles preseason, and what we expect here from the folks on the sideline, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and team. I am the host. They call me Moss Money. I am the player. No GM with Ernie B today. All good. But we have some fun things to talk about, and we'll get right into it. So first, Eagles training camp observations that have come out. I know some people have been following them on Twitter. I have myself. So, just want to get those out the way, talk about some of the matchups that we had talked about already, and then, kind of move on to, who I think has been the star of training camp from what we've heard, what's been reported, and it's Moro Ojomo, and the spectacular camp that he's been having so far. So, what came out of the press conference with Vic today? Adoree Jackson's had played pretty well and is having a good camp. Josh Usay, who is now starting opposite of Jalen Hurts, is ahead of Ojolari and is playing well. And a surprise move, well, not surprising, but in a decent move, Cooper DeJean has been playing really well at safety, where I think has been a surprise. Not a surprise that he's been playing well because he's such a dynamic and great player. But then, you kind of ask yourself the question, is he better at nickel or will he be better served at safety? He definitely has the body type of safety, the speed, the range. It's everything you're looking for kind of in that hybrid safety. Think about all the safeties that we had who can go from that nickel spot back into safety, right? Jenkins, Gardner Johnson that we just have. They all are that kind of mode. And he's like an athletic of those guys. So it'll be really interesting how Vic uses Cooper in different packages. Are they going to bring him back, at the safety spot, or, is he going to, continue to excel at the nickel spot? So I think McWilliams is really the key there. If McWilliams can play in the nickel spot, and they don't like Sidney Brown, they don't like Makuba back there, you could really see, I think, the first starting white, safety duo that we've ever seen in the NFL with Blankenship and Cooper back there when you think about it. So, and then he'll switch, right? Those switch and put, Sidney Brown back there. If Sidney Brown continues to show that he can play at this level, at back there in certain packages like dime packages, and bring Coop back down to to that nickel spot. So again, talking about Sidney Brown playing well. Makuba has not been playing, won't be in the first preseason game. And then the cornerback battle is, kind of close. And I'll get into some of the more of the injuries and stuff that's been reported, but really I want to talk about Ojomo. And let's take a look at some film from last year with him and how he's just progressed. over the year, and he's getting rave reviews from pretty much, everybody who's seen him play. Great swim move right there. But, he beat Dickerson. I saw on a one-on-one. He asked I forget who was the other guard that he put on their ass. And just kind of, if you watch his movement here, he has great movement, good hands, can close. Really kind of, he's getting this sense that he's like awkward. But, in a good way though, right? He looks wild, he looks uncontrolled, but great split here of the double team, really hard to do. And he's disruptive, and he's been disruptive all camp. His name is the one that keeps shining, and they keep saying, "Oh, another Ojomo sack, another Ojomo sack." You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're saying each and every day at camp. So, and this is not just against the second team players or third team players; it's against the ones too. So, he's just having a hell of a camp, and these are all kind of decent, good plays with him. And right now, he's on that other defensive tackle, supposed to, take over for, the loss with Milton Williams. And Vic had talked about it won't be just him; it'd be multiple players. But it seems like he's going to be the guy. Said that trade though. Which trade you talking about, Easy J? I'm not sure which one you're talking about, bro. Let me know. But I think there's a diamond in a rough here, right? Showed the flash last year, and now they're looking for him to be a starter, and he's learning how to play this game, and I think he's going to be a problem. I think he's going to be a beast. I think this defensive line is going to be amazing. I think it's like, we love when our defensive line gets sacks. We love when our defense is tenacious and gets after the quarterback. That's what really brings out, Philadelphia football. But I'm telling you right now, man, this defensive line is going to be nasty. Like, it really might be better than it was last year. And with these guys stepping up, these young guys, and they take pride. I think Ojomo said that this defense takes pride in being a young defense and getting after the quarterback. And I think all the pieces are gonna fall into play, and it's going to, that was a hold there too. It's gonna be ugly. I think it's going to be ugly up front, and I think you're going to see a good rundown. That's a great rundown. I think you're going to see some stuff here with this defensive line, especially starting with Ojomo. Wouldn't surprise me if he gets 5 or 6 sacks this year. Like, it really wouldn't surprise me. And I think we got a gem here. I think we really do have a gem here. Learning from Carter too, right? Being right next to Carter and learning from Carter. I think it's just going to be I think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome to see this defensive line really come together. So that's Ojomo. Praise and love for Ojomo there, and I think that we're going to really see some good stuff from him this year. I think also Vic talked about Josh Uche as well, and how he's starting to. I mean, he's getting shine, right? Nolan's hurt again. Just want to say, Nolan Smith is hurt again. Come on, Nolan. They tried to get me off you, bro. Pause. But you know what I mean? I wasn't, talking. But you came back out to practice, and then you walked off again. You and Green. Now, Green was a different issue. He was throwing up from what I saw. But Nolan Smith, please, can you stay healthy for a year? Just 1 year. That's all I ask. And then, I'll let you live. Like, first, I didn't really think you're that good. I still don't, right? Even though he had a hot playoffs. But I still don't, and you got to help us win a Super Bowl. So I'll take that hit. People say, "Oh, Nate, you were wrong. You were never." Was I? Was I really? Was I really? Because now, once it comes to pay him, y'all really gonna say, "Nah, I'm cool." That's what y'all gonna say. We got Ozolari, we got Uche, we got Hunt. We don't even need Nolan Smith. He wasn't even that good anyway. That's what y'all gonna say. Watch. I'm telling you. So Nolan, just show up, practice, hopefully. I'm not mad though. You played in the Super Bowl with a torn tricep, so you're a dog. I'm not gonna take that away from you. But he won't be the best defensive lineman or the best pass rush on the team. I'll tell you that. He won't lead us in sacks. I'll tell you that. I'm going to tell you that right now. He might not even play all 16 games. Knock on wood. Tell you that right now. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it comes out. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But here is the for the preseason game. Here's supposedly the depth chart. So gotta zoom in here and look at this. Nobody out here that I think you're gonna want to zoom in. I mean, prior we want to take a look at Steen. You want to take a look at actually not Steen. That's Green if he plays. Nobody really special offensively. Maybe Elijah Cook, Shipley. You want to see. You want to see Marshall. You want to see some of those depth guys. But I think what's really interesting is the defensive guys. Here, you got Booker, you got Robinson, Young, Uche, Aguilera, Jihaad. I don't know if they're going to play Samuel. I think that's his name, the Georgia linebacker who's been starting with Trotter. I'm not sure if they're going to play him because he's been starting, but I think they will because he's a rookie. So I think they probably will play him a lot. You'll see that. Obviously, Max right there. And then you have Sidney Brown and McCollum on the back end on the second. And then you got, the lead Elijah Cooks, who's been getting a lot of praise on the third team there. Trying to see if there's anybody else that we're going to be looking at. But supposedly this is the depth chart. You need a magnifying glass to see it. You see how close I am to kind of trying to read it. But for the first, preseason game coming up on Thursday. Talking injuries. Right now, I think A.J. Brown has been out. He missed a second straight practice. But it's expected to be back later in the week. Nolan Smith again. He came back from a concussion but left deferred early. And Zach Bond, which is really interesting. Zach Bond has been out, I think, 5 straight practices. So I don't know how concerning that is. I think the AJ thing, hamstring, is precautionary. But I think Zach Bond missing 5 or 6 practices is pretty telling, in my opinion. So I think that's something to kind of keep your eyes out on, just to, kind of monitor. Don't know what the issue is, though. I would have to check with that to see what Bond. I think it's a lot of back injuries, like a lot of back stiffness and tightness that I've seen. I think what's his name? I think Makuba was a shoulder injury. We already know about Dean, and I think AJ with the hamstring injury have been kind of more different injuries or no, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. And more news, another spotlight here. It's been this man, our rookie linebacker, Jihaad Campbell. Looking solid right there. Let's play that back. Really fast feet. If you look, right, 2-point stands coming up, shedding a block and just kind of finishing. So, right, getting, beating like a guard, pulling, right. Decides to go inside for some reason as a swim move, and then gets upfield, right, and then gets to the quarterback or the ball carrier in the strip drill. But if you look at him full speed, right, he's moving, man, right? He's moving for sure. So, yeah, they said he's freaky athletic. I think Saquon came out and said that he reminds him of the Parsons thing is kind of being floating around a little bit. He didn't compare him to Parsons. I know Vic kind of crushed that. Like, what are we talking about here? but in terms of his body type, right? His body type is in that same kind of leaner build, really twitchy, really fast, freaky athletic, shouldn't be able to move the way he moves for his size, but he does. And the funny thing is, he's rotating in on inside linebacker for like the ones, but on the twos, he's doing edge rusher, which he actually went to Bama for. He was an edge rusher coming into Bama, but he was so good, and they had, the Dallas Turners, not Dallas Turner, Will Turners, and shots on the edge. He just wasn't, he wasn't going to outbeat those guys. But then he was so good, they just put him at linebacker, right? So, from he's been practicing. I think Vic came out today and said that they've been putting a little bit too much on his plate, so maybe he's, making some mistakes. But I honestly, I can't wait to see him play. Hopefully, he plays on the preseason game this week. So I can't wait to see he plays, see how he does in real live action. They kind of compared him to being a little bit too aggressive. If you guys remember, linebacker was like that, was Ernie Sims, was the kind of comp that he had in terms of his practice habits. But, I think that, him and Ojomo have been the standouts of camp from everything I've heard from the defensive side of the ball. I think there's been some players who've had some good plays, but those two have really been the eye like, whoa. Like, Ojomo, again, getting to the quarterback. He's, had a couple sacks on Jalen already. And then, Jihaad just, his recognition, his aggressiveness, his blitz pickup. There is one weakness to Jihaad Campbell, though, is he lost on that wheel route to Will Shipley, where he had, I don't know if he took a bad angle. I don't have any film on that, but, his pass coverage. His back pedal is not as crisp and sharp as maybe they want. So as of right now, we'll see. We'll see how he ends up here. And honestly, I can't wait to come for Thursday to actually watch some Eagles football. How about that? Schwarber hitting bombs today, and we got Eagles football on Thursday. I cannot wait. Again, just wanted to jump on here for Victory Mondays and talk a little bit of training camp, talk about a little bit of Eagles. I want to thank everybody who joined in, saw a couple comments here and there. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button for more Victory Mondays. That's what this podcast is called. For every Monday is a Victory Monday, because we talking about how we winning, and we're going to get another motherfucking ring. This is Moss Money. This is Victory Mondays. I will see you guys next week. Go Birds.